Welcome back, Dr. Ann Blake Tracy, Director of the International Coalition for Drug Awareness, drugawareness.org. Welcome back, Dr. Tracy.
Thank you very much.
It's been
Dr.
an honor
Tracy,
having you.
Yes, it is a great honor. What advice and what's on your heart that you would like to tell our listening audience right now? What kind of advice or whatever? This is your segment, so let her rip. You've got 10 minutes to express what you want to.
Well, there's a few things here that I think that we should cover that we haven't yet. One thing we haven't really listed what drugs we're talking about by brand name. We've got Prozac, Zoloft, Paxil, Luvox, Effexor, Remeron, so Lexapro, did I mention those? Okay. There's so many. But anyway, those are the basic ones. So you can kind of remember, Wellbutrin's another one. These are all antidepressants, and then there's all the older antidepressants as well, and there's so many cases there that have gone unnoticed because nobody knew that much about these drugs back then. Like the Unabomber was actually on these drugs. We don't know how many of those kinds of cases involve these medications. And I think we need to find out. But, in fact, I've got a friend that lost both of his parents to these drugs, and he's in his 50s now. But the father committed suicide, the mother was given on the drugs, and then the mother was given the drugs, and she developed diabetes and died from the effects of the diabetes. So he actually lost both of his parents. So we need to look and try to find how often, I want to document every one of these cases. I want these companies held accountable for it. And I don't think that there's anything out of line in wanting that. I think these people who lost their lives would want us to know. They would want us to have that warning. They've actually given their lives, so that is their gift to us.
If we have a family member or a loved one, Dr. Tracy, that has died, where can we go to give these testimonies?
You're more than welcome to put them on our site at drugawareness.org. I do believe we've made a lot of changes lately, but I think that section is still up there. But it needs to go. It needs to be documented. Also, there is a study out of the University of Southern California that we didn't mention in 1966 that looked at a group of mutant mice. They were part of an experiment that had gone terribly wrong, and these genetically engineered mice were the most violent creatures the scientists had ever seen. But they were born lacking the MAO enzyme. That's the enzyme that metabolizes serotonin. So because of that, their brains had high levels of serotonin, and they determined that this excess serotonin was the cause for the extreme violence. We are chemically doing that to how many in this nation? So then we wonder about the violence, like the stabber that you just mentioned on the news a while ago. You know, he was a mental health worker. I'll take bets what it was he had been on. I had a case with a mother that even after coming off of her medication, she couldn't have even a butter knife, a pair of scissors, anything that resembled a knife in her home because she continuously had these thoughts about picking it up and stabbing her children. She was scared to death she was going to stab her kids. So when I think of that stabbing situation where he was going around stabbing people, I think of her every time. The different types of mania that we're causing, 4,000 4,000% increase in 8 years? 4,000%? That's incredible. The types of manias, I think I just found a list of 142 different ones. Some were ridiculous, but pyromania, the compulsion to start fires. Kleptomania, the compulsion to embezzle, shoplift, commit robberies. Dipsomania, as I mentioned earlier, the drinking of alcohol. Nymphomania, and erotomania, the sexual compulsions. Pathologic preoccupation with sexual fantasies and activities. And look at that woman out in California, like I said, just arrested for 67 counts of having sexual relations with little kids, little teenage boys. These are the school teachers. I mean, you didn't see that. I've been tracking them since I worked early cases in the mid-'90s. To find one not on an antidepressant when they do this is like impossible. It just doesn't seem to happen. But when you create mania, most children, most teenagers are manic. They're manic from the effects of going through puberty and craving junk food because of the way that's affecting their pancreas, because that physical stress, their bodies are making more changes at that time than they have since the first 2 years of their life. They need lots of nutrition at that time. Instead, they go into these pancreatic swings where their blood sugar is going up and down, and they're craving junk food. And they're going into mania. I mean, doesn't every kid think that they're God's gift to the world? No, I'm kidding.
I did, right, when I was a kid. Is this why diabetes is so prevalent in young children, too?
Yeah. But anyway, that's the way people on these drugs will begin to act as they go into these various manias. So I had one woman also that embezzled like $3.4 million from Starbucks. She spent every penny of it and just stacked everything up in her house. Just this compulsive buying. One man went out and bought a yacht. His wife just held her breath, and he came home the next day and saw the yacht and said, wow, that's nice. Where'd that come from? Had no memory of even buying it. Because you're going into seizure activity. There's very little memory of these crazy things that you do. Remember that mania is continuous mild seizure activity. People have got to know that there's so many physical effects associated with these medications and the toll they're taking on the body. You almost always lose the gallbladder. It's one of the first things you see. A lot of stomach problems, digestion problems, because it's interfering with metabolism. There's just, I can't even begin to name the number of physical problems that people run into as a result of these medications. So, in a nutshell, those are some of the things you really have to watch for. But also, I would encourage you, as these murder-suicides happen in your own backyard, please send them to us at Drug Awareness. And ask the local reporters what medication they were taking. Force them to start telling us what these people were on. Because the drug companies are very quick about rushing in and quieting things down as quickly as they possibly can. There's a lot of dollars in it for them. But we've got to do it because we're the ones that are suffering from it.
Yes, we are. It's America's tragedy. It's our tragedy. Worldwide International Coalition for Drug Awareness, drugawareness.org.
Yeah.
Dr. Tracy, thank you for being with us this evening. We've got about 30 more seconds. We certainly we certainly admire your soul and your spirit and all the hard work you've done. We really admire your work.
And we
Thank you
wish
for being with us this evening, and we certainly appreciate what you've done.
I wish you strength and endurance and compassion and love. Thank you.
Thank you. I need it after 20 years.
Thank you, Dr. Tracy.
Running low.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Good night.
Be well.
Thank you.